From Bishop Ireton High School, it's Real World Wednesdays, a show featuring alumni and friends of the school for the Cardinal community and beyond. I'm Ryan Fannin, Associate Director of Advancement and a member of the BI class of 1989. And on the show today is Luke Delaney, a 1994 graduate of Bishop Ireton who found his way back to his alma mater as a teacher more than 25 years after his time on Cambridge Road. "1990 was a transformative year for Bishop Ireton. Following the appointment of Father William Metzger as principal in 1989, the school was set to undergo perhaps its most monumental change, the introduction of girls to the previous all-boys school. When St. Mary's Academy closed its doors in the spring of 1990, BI welcomed its first co-ed class in the fall of that same year. That same fall, Luke Delaney also began his time on Cambridge Road. A lifelong Alexandrian, Luke was one of 4 boys. His father was a lawyer, and his mom stayed at home with the children. His 2 older brothers, John and Mark, graduated from Bishop Ireton in 1988 and 1989, respectively. His younger brother, Joe, followed Luke and graduated in 1998. Like his siblings, Luke attended St. Louis Catholic School before becoming a Cardinal. When it was time for high school, Bishop Ireton was the obvious choice. After graduating from BI, Luke went to James Madison University, where he majored in sociology with a minor in special education. Following his college commencement, he worked a few jobs before transitioning to a career in education. From 2006 to 2018, he was a beloved faculty member of the St. Louis school family. In 2022, he was hired as a physical education teacher at his other alma mater, Bishop Ireton, where he specializes in adaptive PE for students in the BI Options program. As it turns out, his interest in becoming an educator stemmed directly from his experience at Bishop Ireton as a student and working through his own struggles with dyslexia.
I cherished my time at Ireton. It was a truly unique experience, especially with the co-ed setup too as well. I know my brothers always reminisce about the days of, all boys and stuff like that, but I wouldn't trade my experience for anything. It totally is different now. We had a whole bunch of trailers in the quad. We also had the oblate house. And so things look quite different now than back then. Also, we had the colonel that was roaming the halls, that was always, strictly enforcing the dress code. And I can never forget about the iconic blue and red blazers that is sketched in my memory. For those days were filled with boundless excitement and anticipation. Also, it did feel a little bit crowded just when the girls came. It was a bigger school, but it just seemed a little small at the time.
What were some of your favorite memories from your time at Bishop Ireton? You and I were talking about today earlier about you really were involved in so many different sports and activities, and you just jumped right in from the beginning. But tell us about those memories and teachers that had impact on you. You really had a packed 4 years here, didn't you, on Cambridge Road?
The really significant memory was we won the 2 championships in football. I wasn't on the football team, but I was there supporting them. And both of those games were down in Maryland on Terps Field. Also on the basketball side of things, I played my junior year. But those were the memories in the sports that mean a lot to me. On the teacher side of things, I had a lot of teachers that made a lasting impression. Father Nadolski, Mr. Basquette, Mrs. Pasquale, Mrs. Hill, and also Mrs. Hebert. Among them, Mrs. Hebert stands out the most. She was my special ed teacher. She was exceptional. She was kind, very patient, and incredibly supportive. Mrs. Hebert not only helped me navigate my education, but also empowered me to advocate for myself. her impact on my life and my learning journey has been profound. She's part of the reason why I became a teacher.
I want to ask you a little bit more about the transition, because you had brothers that had experienced when it was all boys at Ireton. And when you think about that first year, of course, it's just your first year of high school, so you're taking it all in, and it's new for you too. But what else do you remember about sort of how the school came together in a unique way? Because St. Mary's Academy has unbelievable history going back to 1869 when it opened up. And it had been in existence for 121 years before they closed the doors. And what do you remember sort of about that transition from the standpoint of two different schools, and a little bit more, if you can elaborate on those times from that perspective?
Well, being a freshman, I didn't really know what, it was all new to me.
Yes.
So I couldn't see the difference. But talking to the older ones, I remember going to school with a couple, carpools and stuff like that. And they said it changed dramatically, with just having girls there, parking lot, being full, all the way to getting the fields for practice and all that kind of stuff. So logistics was the big thing too as well.
What was your experience like having two older brothers who attended BI and one younger brother who graduated a few years after you? Tell us about this big family and all the different dynamics, and maybe a couple things you remember from having so many siblings be Cardinals as well.
Having two older brothers who attended the high school before me gave me a clearer picture to what to expect. It made the transition to my high school smoother. I was really familiar with the school and what was going on as a kid, me going to all their sporting games and stuff like that. So I remember going to basketball with Big Bob and the Iceman, all the way to the soccer with Pete Johnson running the show, and also lacrosse with Coach Stewart. And me being a ball boy and stuff like that. Also, me and my little brother were in the play at the King and I when we were in grade school. So that was a way that I felt more comfortable than probably most freshmen did, just because I had that experience of being in the school, knowing some of the students even before I came there.
Luke, after you graduated from BI in 1994, you went down the road, I-81 South, to Harrisonburg, Virginia, to attend James Madison University. Tell us about that experience and some great memories from that time in your life.
JMU was great. Both my brothers were there, so I followed them, and then Joe followed me too as well. I majored in sociology, minored in special education. I always knew that once I got there and I took some of those classes that I felt this was a path that I was going to take eventually. Maybe not right away, but maybe down the line, and I'm so glad I did.
And JMU, like Ireton, schools with great momentum now.
Right.
Heck of a win in the NCAA tournament
Right.
over Wisconsin this year in the first round for the men. And the football team has made that move from FCS up to FBS. It's got to give you a lot of pride to see all the Cardinal sports on the rise,
Right.
and all the Duke sports on the rise.
No doubt. I remember when we would go to JMU and we would go to a football game, we would go just to get nachos. And, there's not that many people in there. And now you can't even get a ticket. They have big tailgates. It's a whole
College game day coming.
Right. Exactly. So, so it's been awesome to see. It's been awesome to be part of that ride. And, I feel like Ireton's going in that same path, slowly but surely, but they're getting there. So I'm really excited about it.
A few years after college, you began your career in education.
Right when I got out of school, I went into sales and did all that. After getting laid off once or twice, I kind of said, all right, I need to figure out what I want to do. Sales really wasn't for me. So I started looking into special education. At the time, I went to St. Coretta's in Old Town Alexandria, and I worked there for a little bit. But even after that, I just wasn't ready for taking on special education at that time. And so I started subbing in the Catholic schools. That's when I went to the Catholic school job fair. And when I was there, I looked at the list, and what do you know, there's St. Louis. So I was like, I'll go over to the table.
My
and,
alma mater.
Right. Go on over, see if I know anyone there. And what do you know, Miss Gilmore sitting there, my principal that I had. So I walked up to her and I go, Miss Gilmore, do you remember me? And she goes, no, I'm sorry, I don't. I'm Luke Delaney. And she goes, you've been to my office many times. And I said, no, that's my little brother, Joe. I'm looking for a job.
That's funny.
Physical education. And what do you know? She had one opening up just right then. And so 2 weeks later, I was in for the rest of the year there. And then she offered me the job at the end of the year, and I was there for 12 years.
Well, I know you'll be humble about this, but I remember just when my family joined the St. Louis community, people were just talking about the incredible impact and personal relationships that you built during your time there. And so many people admire just the passion, excitement that you brought every day there. When you think about those 12 years, what a huge part of your life. What do you remember about those incredible times working at your alma mater at St. Louis? Before we get to working at your alma mater again at Bishop Ireton.
Exactly. Well, it was a really great time there at St. Louis. I had some great, fond memories there. The kids were the great part, and, in PE, it's awesome, because I can talk to the kid when they're not stressed out or they're releasing stress. And sometimes, that brings a lot of, problems too as well with some of the kids. But, it gets them out of their environment of the classroom, and I can talk to them and see what's going on. And I tried to make PE a fun place, a place where they could come and smile and not think about the classroom. And I try and do that now. And I thought I did a really good job about that. Also physical activity, that wasn't the only thing. Most important was trying to do teamwork, respect, discipline in students, the impact in their lives positively, and focus on the physical health and the personal development too as well.
Bringing it full circle, you are now a teacher at your alma mater from a high school perspective, Bishop Ireton. What prompted you to come back to BI, Luke?
Well, I got a call from Mrs. McNutt. So that was the first one. And, you got to take that call. And so I came back. And when I came back, it just felt like home again. The kids were great. And also, just being back at home, walking the halls and stuff like that, even though that it wasn't the same halls, it's definitely different. It just felt like home.
You brought up Kathleen McNutt, and there's so many different relationships that we all have had the chance to have over the years. But the fact that she is a St. Louis grad, and then she went on to St. Mary's Academy to graduate, and of course, here you come, and you're with the St. Mary's Academy girls the first year of that transition. And then she becomes a principal at St. Louis. Then she becomes the head of school. And now it's really sort of neat the way you and her have had a lot of similar and incredible experiences working at both of those schools and both having graduated from St. Louis as well.
Yeah. It's been great. I remember when she first came on, she was developing the preschool at St. Louis, and we actually shared an office together. And I always joke with her, and it was just a great relationship. And we had it since the beginning of time. The Faradys and Delaneys were always running the fields at St. Louis, and also here at Bishop Ireton.
We just finished the month of April, which is Neurodiversity Awareness Month at BI. And one of your areas of specialization is in adaptive PE with students in the options program. And for those that don't know, the BI options program is part of the special services offerings. It's a special education program for students diagnosed with moderate intellectual disabilities, providing students with an individualized, inclusive, student-centered Catholic education. And I'm curious about your perspective on the program you offer, as well as the student services offerings overall here at Bishop Ireton. I know it's significantly different from when you were a student.
The programs like BI's option programs are very important because they help students with special needs learn and play in ways that work best for them. The adapted PE or physical education makes sure all students at BI can join in activities that are safe and fun. These programs help students make friends and feel included, which is good for the overall well-being for the school. It is great to see BI making sure every student gets the help they need and be part of the community here at BI.
Now, take us back to the 90s and when you were here, and the different programs that were available then, and anything to share on those times.
Well, my teacher that I was talking about, Miss Bear, she helped me with my learning disability. I was dyslexic, and I used to go to a place called Seton Center. It was a little trailer outside that I would go to, and I always, let people know this is part who I was, and she helped me with that, and so that was a place where we could go, and there's only a few amount of students back then that she taught at that time, and so when she would help us with certain things and certain subjects, but we would go there during our free periods. So we never really had a free period. We would just go there instead.
As you tell a lot of the stories today and share different experiences, people often ask, what makes Ireton such a unique community? And I think it's that collaboration and how everybody has each other's back, right, and everybody wants everybody else to be successful. And maybe describe some thoughts on that from your perspective and the way the students really support each other in a unique way here in this Ireton community, don't they, Luke?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's just to see the kids in the hallways, how they all get along together. If someone's down, they're always trying to pick them up and stuff like that. It's really great to see. Sometimes I come in to work and I'm not in the greatest mood, and just seeing a couple of kids and they pick me up, and get me ready. They always keep me on my toes. There's no doubt about that. But it is great to see that, the love and support that they have for each other too, as well.
Speaking of love and support, I want to get a few more thoughts. Tell us briefly about your siblings and your family. Just give us some updates on how everybody's doing, because I know the folks that listen to this know that this Delaney family has incredible roots at Ireton that have really been part of this community for so many decades.
So John, class of 88, he's in the Arlington County Fire Department, and he's been there for 29 years now. Mark, 89, he's in sales. He sells to the federal government and IT, and he's been doing that for 25 years. And Joe, 98, he's also in sales at Switch Data, selling to the federal government for 20 years now. We all live pretty close together, so I see them quite a bit. Mark's about 15 minutes away, and Joe and John and my mom are within a mile of each other. So we still see each other almost every weekend, and we still do vacations together every summer and stuff like that.
To close out, I'd love to talk big picture about your involvement with BI. Why did you choose to come back and give your talents to the Cardinal community? And why is it important for other alums to give back in their own way?
Yeah, I cherish the education and experience I gained at BI, and I desire to contribute to the ongoing success of the school and aid current students in their development. It is critical to inspire fellow alumni to give back, and their contributions and perspectives can enrich the school's community and supporting it for the future generations.
That's wonderful. One other thing I wanted to ask you was about the facilities. Not only this auxiliary gym that was a game changer.
Right.
I mean, we know in Alexandria, there's just so much space.
Right.
And people still come in, alumni, and they go, what do you mean you have a second gym?
Right.
I mean, I thought it was like a lot of like just very small space back there. And then the neighborhood on the back end. Tell us about, from your perspective, about what that auxiliary gym has done for teams and for PE and just opening up that space. And then your impression of the new 40,000 square foot academic center that the kids take great pride in, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, everything is amazing around here. It's nothing like it was when I went to school here. You know, that auxiliary gym is a blessing in disguise for us because, you know, when we can't use the gym or anything like that, we have that space. Or if we can't go outside, we still have that other space. Or if kids want to play one thing and want to play something else over there, we can do that too as well. So that's really been a difference maker in that. With the academic wing, I mean, the kids really, you know, talk it up and they love it. So, I mean, it has been something that they really enjoy.
You see some of the kids. I remember a quote from a recent grad that said, you go into Helmuth Library and it's a place that with all the sunlight that they can really do group settings in the rooms that really give them privacy, but also there's spaces where you can just sit with the big windows and really just be able to relax and unwind. And to think about, they're in a library now that's 4 times the size of the old library, and a cafeteria in Murphy Hall that's now 2.5 times the size of the old one. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Even though they have more students now, it doesn't feel like they have a lot more students. When I always said when we first got here, just maybe because of the trailers and stuff like that, it did seem a little crowded, but it doesn't seem that so much now, but it has been great. I mean, it's great to see, and they're only adding more stuff too. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the chapel. But yeah, so big things happening, no doubt.
When you think about the combination of your student days, working here now, being around a great faculty and staff and a community as whole, what for you is the things that maybe stand out when somebody says to you, the question I'll ask you right now, what do you enjoy the most about being a Bishop Ireton Cardinal, Luke?
It's family. Family is really important to me, and it's just another, I have another family, so they're always looking to help me out in any way I can, pick me up when I'm down, ask me if I'm just okay. So that's the best thing. You can't put a price on that.
That's Luke Delaney, Bishop Ireton class of 1994, who is now a part of a growing group of faculty and staff members who have returned to their alma mater to teach and inspire the next generation of BI Cardinals. I'm Ryan Fannin, and you've been listening to Bishop Ireton's Real World Wednesdays.